Good afternoon. I'm 14 First Alert meteorologist Arden Gregory here with your afternoon streaming show. We are still on alert. We've been on alert and we stay on alert for this ongoing heat wave. We're right in the middle of it. We've still got a few more days to go. We're on alert now through Wednesday. So through this weekend and the first half of next week, it is still going to be dangerously hot, but there is some relief in sight. So while we will be talking about high temperatures in the mid 90s through the whole first half of next week, then those temperatures finally start to drop. Now, it's not going to exactly be refreshing. It's not like it's going to feel like fall out there. It's still going to feel like late July, early August, but it's going to be a more typical kind of heat, highs in the upper 80s, maybe even slightly below average in the mid 80s by the end of next week, which, while not exactly refreshing, will feel like a huge improvement after several days in a row of highs in the low to mid 90s and those triple-digit heat index values. We are certainly not the only ones on alert for this heat. There are heat advisories and extreme heat watches and warnings all up and down the East Coast, stretching from Maine all the way to Florida. They've got a heat advisory in South and North Dakota on up into Minnesota. And then here at home, we've got this string of heat advisories, heat watches, and heat warnings that stretch kind of all along the Ohio River Valley, down into the Mississippi River Valley, and out into Oklahoma and Texas. Here at home, one change that just happened. We've been under a heat advisory, but now we are under an extreme heat watch. So it's possible as we get into early next week and that heat increases, we could even see an extreme heat warning here in the tri-state, as it actually looks like, believe it or not, the heat may get even worse before it gets better. Yesterday was miserable, but it looks like early next week could actually be the worst of this entire heat wave, especially as we get into Monday, Tuesday. We have had a few very spotty showers. Be grateful if you got one, because that's the only thing bringing us any relief from this heat. We have had some clouds just kind of bubbling up in the heat of the day. I always think it almost looks like the atmosphere is boiling when we get days like this. So you get those clouds that just kind of bubble up. Some of them have produced some very brief showers, but none of that rain has lasted for very long. They've been little bitty showers that just kind of pop up and then rain themselves right back out. We've got a little bit of rain in eastern McLean, southeast Davis, and then northern Ohio counties right now, but that rain is actually currently in the process of dissipating. So most of the tri-state is dry and will probably stay that way through the rest of the day, but just don't be shocked if sometime over the next 2-3 hours you do get a very brief shower. That then tapers off completely as the sun sets. Tonight will be mostly clear. Then tomorrow I think we'll see a few more clouds compared to today, but still quite a bit of sunshine. An isolated chance that a couple of spotty showers or thunderstorms could pop up tomorrow afternoon. But again, not everyone will see that rain, and any rain we do see clears back out Saturday night. Sunday, we're still caught in this same repetitive pattern, so it'll be mostly sunny, hot and humid, and with that we could see an isolated shower or storm popping up Sunday afternoon. While there are isolated rain chances as we go through this weekend and even into next week, the rain is not the focus. The emphasis is really on the heat, as has been the case this entire week. Check out these temperatures. We're sitting in the low to mid 90s right now. It's currently 93 in Evansville, 92 in Newburgh, Henderson and Owensboro, some of the cooler spots at a brisk 91 degrees. But when you factor in the humidity, it feels like we're in the triple digits. A heat index of 105 right now in Evansville, 107 in Newburgh, Henderson 103, Owensboro 102, and the reason it feels so much hotter than it already is that humidity. Our dew points are in the mid to upper 70s. Now, I will say yesterday we had some dew points in the 80s, so this is a little bit of an improvement, but we are still just maxing out that muggy meter. Dew points in the mid 70s is just stifling air you can wear kind of humidity. And it's what we've been dealing with all week long, and it's what we'll continue to deal with through the first half of next week. So be very careful if you're headed out to any outdoor plans. I know there's a lot going on tonight. The county fair happening. Just be prepared. We may actually tack on another degree or two before the afternoon is over. So we'll see more folks climbing into those mid-90s as the afternoon goes on. Then we'll very slowly dip back through the 90s and into the upper 80s as we head towards sunset. A few clouds, maybe a stray shower, but again, that's a slim chance. Similarly, if you're headed out to Friday after 5 in Owensboro, same story there. It's going to be in the 90s, low to mid 90s as that's kicking off. We probably won't dip below 90 until about 8 o'clock as the sun is going down. And the humidity, those heat index values will probably be about 10 degrees higher than the actual temperatures. So at 8 o'clock, when it feels like 89, 90, it's probably going to feel like around 100. And then that heat index will start to drop back through the 90s once it gets dark out there. It's going to be hot and humid all the way up through sunset, and then it stays very warm and muggy even through the overnight hours, with temperatures only dropping back into the mid to upper 70s. Then tomorrow, a couple degrees cooler than today, but don't get excited. It's not any kind of major relief. We'll just have a few more clouds. Again, a very isolated chance of rain. Temperatures will climb into the lower 90s again, and those heat index values will still be well into the triple digits, peaking somewhere between 103 and 106 in most locations. Then it gets even hotter. This is where I'm concerned we may end up with an extreme heat warning, because we've got a couple of days in a row next week where I think that heat index could even reach 110, and anything at or over 105 is considered the danger zone. And it's 105 with a heat index in Evansville right now, so it's dangerously hot out there as we speak. At this point, sunstroke, heat cramps, or heat exhaustion are all likely, and heat stroke, which can be fatal, is even possible, but there is some relief in sight. There is light at the end of the tunnel. This heat wave cannot last forever, and we'll talk about that in just a second. First, I want to check in on the comments real quick. Teresa, I agree with you. I am also very over this heat. Jeff Miller recommends a popsicle. Yes, it is definitely popsicle weather. Hello, Libby. Yeah, Sharon, actually it's a little cooler in some parts of Florida than it is here right now. But yeah, Florida even under this heat advisory. So much of the country dealing with this heat wave. Yes, so much heat. Paula points out a great point. This heat is not normal summertime heat. Oftentimes when we talk about these heat waves, people tend to sort of brush it off as, well, it's summertime, it's supposed to be hot. Why would we be on alert for heat in the end of July? Of course it's hot. This is beyond what would be normal hot. Normal hot is upper 80s to low 90s, heat index mid to upper 90s. When you start getting into a heat index that's in the danger zone, that's why we're on alert. Just that, it is dangerous. And one thing we see consistently year after year, believe it or not, heat kills more Americans than any other type of weather. So, and some of that's because it sneaks up on you. Anybody who's ever gotten overheated can tell you you're doing fine, and then all of a sudden you realize this is not a good situation. You maybe start to get dizzy, lightheaded, maybe even lose consciousness. And at that point, it can turn very dangerous very fast. So please take care of yourself. Be careful out there. There is a major risk of heat-related illnesses like heat exhaustion and heat stroke today. Like I said, tomorrow we may see some minimal relief. It'll be just a couple degrees cooler. We'll get a few more clouds, but still a moderate to major heat risk. And any relief we get tomorrow would be very minimal and very brief, because we're right back into that major risk by Sunday. Widespread major risk Monday, Tuesday. We may even see a few pockets of extreme heat risk where, again, there would be this very elevated concern that we could be dealing with heat-related illnesses that could result even in hospitalization or death if you don't take care of yourself. That's the great news, is heat deaths are very preventable. Stay cool, stay hydrated, you should be just fine. But it's when people don't listen and think, oh, it's just a little heat, I can handle it, then they end up getting themselves in trouble, and it can turn dangerous very fast. So please take care of yourself out there. Here's that relief I promised. By Wednesday, a cold front comes in from the north, swings through the tri-state Wednesday night, and by Thursday, that heat risk shifts down to our south, and we are finally out of this string of alert days. So we're still on alert through the weekend and the first half of next week. We're looking at highs in the mid-90s, heat index values well into the triple digits. Like I said, Monday, Tuesday, we could even see widespread heat index as high as 110. That is dangerously hot. But then here comes that cold front. I'm not sure it'll bring us very much in the way of rain. I think the rain will be kind of scattered, kind of hit or miss, but it will change our wind direction, and cooler, less humid air will sweep in from the north-northwest, and as that happens, we see this drop in our temperatures. Like I said, not exactly refreshing. We're still talking mid to upper 80s, heat index probably in the lower 90s, but it would be that normal summertime heat, not this extreme and dangerous heat that we've been dealing with for the past few days. So something to look forward to there. By the end of next week, maybe a little bit of rain, but more importantly, a shift in our wind direction and a break in this heat wave that we've been tracking for several days now and still have a few more days to go. Checking in on the comments again, I agree with you, Robert. It is too hot. There's just no other way to describe it. It's too hot. It's almost too hot even for the pool. The water's not even refreshing. It's so hot out there. And you're welcome, Eve, for the updates and suggestions. Okay, if anybody has any other questions, now's the time to ask them. Again, we've got some very isolated rain chances through this weekend and into the start of next week. Every day it's just a spotty shower or two in the afternoon. We don't have any widespread rain in the forecast, and we're not expecting any severe weather. The emphasis, the reason for all these first alert weather days is the heat. It is so dangerous if you don't take care of yourself, so make sure you're drinking lots of water, move any sort of strenuous activities to early in the morning or late in the evening. Dress appropriately, wear lightweight, light-colored, breathable clothing, and then obviously also don't get too much sun. That's one that sometimes people don't think about. A lot of people will probably be at the pool with all this hot, humid weather. That's perfectly fine, but when you're in the pool, still remember to occasionally get out of the pool, drink some water, and reapply your sunscreen, because if you get sunburn, anybody who's ever had a bad sunburn knows it gets that much harder to regulate your temperature, right? You'll feel almost like you have a fever. Your body is really struggling to regulate its temperature when you've got that bad sunburn. So in this kind of condition, where you're already so at risk of overheating very quickly, you don't want to then add a sunburn into the mix. It's just going to make it that much harder on your body. So drink lots of water, and also wear your sunscreen. Do not get sunburnt. It's a bad idea anytime, but this is really not the week to be dealing with a sunburn on top of all this heat. All right, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. Jamie and Rob are not going to be joining me this afternoon. They're in the newsroom working on other things, but obviously you can get all of the latest news headlines on 14 News tonight at 4, 5, 6, and 10, and anytime on our website, 14news.com. Everybody stay cool, stay hydrated, and have a great weekend.